Welcome everyone to this review of the Congleton Player's most recent production at Daneside Theatre, the adaptation of John Godber's play Bouncers. I'm DC Wood, the former presenter of The Box of Stuff. Before I begin, for those who still don't know yet, Beartown Radio has ceased broadcasting. I've already given my views on the matter on Facebook, and I just want to give my thanks again to Keith Graham, who founded Congleton's brilliant radio station, for giving me the opportunity to co-present Curtain Call with Becky Morley, and for allowing me to present The Box of Stuff after Curtain Call had finished. Plus, I want to thank everyone again who I befriended and worked with at the station, and those who messaged me with support and sympathies, and to all my colleagues as well. The one good thing that came from this trying time was the fact that the people genuinely appreciated all the hard work, love and effort everybody put into our broadcasting, presenting. So thank you. Before Beartown Radio closed its doors, I'd made an agreement with Congleton Players to cover another of their events, like I'd done for the One Act Play Festival, the Vicar of Dibley and A Soldier's Goodbye last year. Congleton Players have given me free tickets in the past in exchange for promoting their shows at Daneside, and Beartown Radio's closure didn't change a thing. We'd made an agreement, and I was going to stick to that agreement. I've always loved what the players have done. They're always great to work with, and of course I'd be happy to cover Bouncers. So I reviewed this event in my own capacity, and this is going to be the last time, at least for now, that I'll do one of these videos discussing local events. Who knows what will happen in the future? I'd love to do more radio work, but for now I've got other projects lined up. So let's crack on with the play itself, shall we? Bouncers is the brainchild of professional playwright John Godber. This comedy drama is acted out by 4 men only, all dressed as bouncers whilst assuming multiple male and female personas to act out various stories that are taking place at the club. Bouncers was first staged back in 1977, and since then it's toured all over the world to become an international sensation in theatres, having been interpreted by so many amateur and professional groups. This was the second time that Congleton Players have staged Bouncers, the first being back in 2008, and now resurrected for 2015. The Congleton Players called upon to perform here were Martin Daniel, James Hulme, Daniel Masterson and Drew Tooth, who I fondly remember from the One Act Play Festival. He directed My Home, My Castle, and he also performed as Herbert Collins in the winning play For the Benefit of Albert Entwistle. Simon Wain was the director, and Pam Mean was the producer for the show. When covering this production of Bouncers, I attended 2 rehearsals before the first live performance itself. One rehearsal took place on the 26th of January 2015, the other was on the 2nd of February, which was the final full dress rehearsal before the live performance schedule, which ran from Tuesday 3rd of February to Saturday the 7th. I also went into this not really knowing what to expect. I'd been given the basic idea of what Bouncers was all about, but I was a complete novice to John Godber's play, so I was all the more looking forward to this show, really intrigued to see what it was all about. Starting with the first rehearsal on the 26th of January, it was absolutely hilarious. It was one of the most fun times I've had sitting in at a rehearsal to cover it. Godber's original idea, the format of Bouncers, the script that the players were using, it was really creative and infused with a lot of human elements that were very true to life. The 80s setting, the humour, the gritty atmosphere, the characters, the way things fed into the audience's imagination. It's a really, really good idea that's handled supremely well. And the fact that it's been adapted over and over again for the last few decades says a lot about the quality of the material and the writing. And in the initial rehearsal I attended, there was such a fun atmosphere to be found. There were bags of laughs with Drew, Martin, Dan and Jamie. They were all really enthusiastic. The performances were worthy of John Godber's script, and I got the sense of a lot of potential for this adaptation. My initial impressions of Simon Wain as the director was that he was fun and hospitable to be around, and he worked with his cast. He knew exactly what to do with regards to directing the actors, the timing, cueing the lighting and sound, the great idea of positioning the actors from tallest, which was Jamie, to the smallest, which was Drew. Such a good touch. Real organisation there, and most importantly, Simon reined things in when he needed to, when things were on the verge of getting out of control. And admittedly, there were dangers of that during the initial rehearsal. I felt that perhaps Drew, Martin, Dan and Jamie were having too good a time at the rehearsal that I attended. There was a lot of messing up of their lines in those early stages, and I felt that they needed more discipline for the live performance that lay ahead. Fast forward to the 2nd of February, the full dress rehearsal and the final one before the actual week, I noticed a real difference. There was a vast improvement from the whole team. All the cast had really matured into something great. They'd taken their enjoyment, their synchronization, the gestures and mannerisms, their versatility and humanity, and translated all of that into something worthy of a full audience. Martin, Jamie, Dan and Drew all worked hard to get to that level, and Simon deserves a lot of credit also for helping get them to that level, as does Louise Carter from the School of Dance for working with the cast on their choreography. I saw Louise actually helping out with the directing and tell them what to do with relates to timing and moves and everything. It was Louise deserves credit as well for her part in things. I attended the live performance on the first night, Tuesday 3rd of February, and like the full dress rehearsal, I liked the simple set design. It was just a simple white square with beer barrels being used for chairs, and to set the scenery for the bouncers outside the club, handbags were used by the lads when they were impersonating female characters. The use of smoke, lighting and sound effects provided a great atmosphere. The way it all lent itself to the audience's imagination made it so malleable. It was a real creative achievement. The theatre wasn't full on the Tuesday that I went. There was a good turnout, but it wasn't a full house like there usually is on, say, a Friday or a Saturday. And the cast responded to that by performing as though there wasn't a single empty chair. The lads gave it their all regardless and gave the audience a great show indeed. There were a few people who weren't entirely sure what Bouncers was about and didn't quite get the concept of John Godber's play, but as the show went on, those people were taken in by the cast's performance. They all lived their parts to the point that where when people went to their seats from the waiting area, Jamie, Dan, Drew and Martin, in full character, were examining tickets and acting like real bouncers, not taking any nonsense, being quite jovial, actually living their characters when announcing the raffle during the interlude. Everyone had their own chance to shine and show the audience what they could do, either individually or in the spotlight. Examples of this were such as Martin delivering insights as the character he was playing, Lucky Eric, or as a group when the lads were dancing to Michael Jackson's Thriller during the finale, from gestures to body language, facial expressions, remaining still under their cue until their cue to come back to life. Sequences like getting ready to go out, the barroom brawl, being accompanied by Motorhead's Ace of Spaces, or getting a taxi home, all of which were hilarious and really well timed. All the lads, all the crew involved should be proud of their efforts, as should Simon for directing, and Josh Smith as well for his work on the sound effects and music cues. All the crew were on form here. However, Bouncers isn't really a play that's suited for everyone actually having a chance to to watch it and see what it's all about. The reason why it's not really suited for everyone is due to the original idea John Godber had in mind. There are people who won't get the format, and there's strong language and adult material here that won't suit other people's tastes. It's not for everyone. It's certainly not a family production by any means, but I've come in personally not knowing anything about it and ended up really liking John Godber's play. Following a Congleton Player's production like this one has certainly been unlike any I've covered before, and that's helped make this experience all the more of a fun one. Bouncers is certainly different for Daneside theatre goers and provides a real contrast for punters. Dan, Jamie, Martin, Drew, Simon and everyone involved here have worked very hard to provide a very blokey production that's not meant to be taken too seriously. Bags of fun, 4 stars. I'd just like to give a shout out as well to the trailer by Realistic Imagery for Bouncers. It helps sum up the atmosphere of this production, and it's great. Check it out at the link below. It's just as creative as the play itself, and a job very well done. For a list of things to come at Daneside Theatre, then check out www.danesidetheatre.co.uk. Also visit the Congleton Players website at www.congletonplayers.com. Congleton Players are also on Facebook. Please visit their page in the link below. Thank you to Simon Wain and your cast for all your time. Thanks to Annette Bradley, Annabelle Hull and Kate Burrow as always. And thank you, the followers of Beartown Radio, and to everyone I worked with, met, covering all those great events. And to you who listened to the box of stuff as well. Thank you. This is DC Wood signing out.